What's up, nerds? It's your boy coming to you live from Site B, doing our steps, trying to get in shape for the new year. I know normally I don't post on Sundays, but this one was kind of rattling around in the back of my brain, so I thought we'd talk about it while we walk. We can look at the pretty sunny spring morning, because I guess we're not getting a winter this year here at Site B, which is fine. Okay, so rule zero. That's a word you're going to hear a lot, and you've probably heard a lot, and you're probably like, I don't know what that means. What's rule zero? Where's this written down? And to best of my knowledge, rule zero basically is the dungeon master, the game master, is always correct. They may not always be right, but they're always correct. Now, what does that mean in everyday value? Because that's a pretty vague statement with no scientific or even logical connection. Well, it's kind of the same argument as we're having with the whole X card thing. It basically means during the game, whatever the DM says is how your character is perceiving the world, so you should just accept it. Now, if something happens that you don't agree with, you've all agreed as of session 0 that for those 3 hours that the game is running, you're just going to run with it. You're not going to throw up your hands and interrupt the game to question a call. After the game's over, the DM should allow some time for question and answers. Plus, thanks to the medium of the interweb, you have dozens of ways to communicate with each other before and after the game. But during the game, once the movie starts, once the game starts, nobody really appreciates it if you suddenly throw up your X card and say, no, actually on page 34 it says. So let's put that into practice. And let's deal with something I think everybody can grasp in their imagination. Fire. Right? Fire, the great equalizer. We all know fire. And you're probably going to say, don't be dumb, OGGM. There's only one type of fire. Of course we know fire. No, that's not true, young Padawan. In fact, there are, in real life, at least 2 or 3 different types of fire that I'm aware of. Because there's fire, then there's chemical fire, then there's, there's multiple fires. That's why there's 2 or 3 different types of fire extinguishers. And firefighters have multiple different types of fire retardants, besides just throw water on it. Because sometimes throwing water on it actually makes it worse. Now, add to that the wackadoodle physics of Dungeons and Dragons or any other fantasy game, and you're adding in things like magic, psionics, illusions, outer planes, demons, angels, multiple radiant energy, whatever the fuck that is, necrotic energy, right? Where's necrotic energy on the EMP spectrum? It isn't. So, players enter room. Room is on fire. You can walk directly across the room and take X amount of damage. You can try clever ways to circumvent the fire, but understand, well, the room is still hot, so you're still going to take Y amount of damage. And then you saving throws, whatever, and the DM says, well, the rules say the fire does its damage on your turn before you start your turn, or the fire damage does its damage to you after your turn, at the end of your turn, or just the fire does static damage at the beginning and end of every round. And you as the player should just accept whatever the DM told you about the reality of that room and the fire, even if it goes against your understanding of how fire in game works, because you don't know enough about the fire. And that's rule 0. The DM is correct about the fire in this situation, because there could be other things going on with the fire. It could be a magic fire, it could be a psionic fire, it could be a fire from hell or another outer plane. It could not be a fire at all, but an illusion or something completely different that just looks like fire. Hell, it could be a slime that takes on the appearance of fire. I don't know. You don't know. You just accept what the DM tells you and roll with it. You don't go, oh, but actually on mine, page 34. No, because that's not when that happens. It actually happens. No, it happens whenever I say. because that is your perception of the reality of the encounter. Now, maybe DM made a mistake. Maybe DM read module wrong. Maybe DM made up brand new rules specifically for that encounter that you've never seen before. Maybe you misheard DM, especially if you're doing this online. So you have a question, and perhaps because of the situation, you're ending the scenario way worse off than you in your imagination think you should have been, because you think the DM was wrong. The correct procedure would be, at the end of the game, to approach the dungeon master and question the call. You know, because nobody likes it when you throw down the X card or throw the flag on the field and stop the game. Just like watching any sport, you know, your team is about to score a thing, and then something happens and the ref throws down the flag, and suddenly the momentum has stopped, and now your team has to recover its momentum, and that just ruins it. And maybe a play they could have won, they now lose because the ref did something, threw down the flag, and then you're like going in your head, oh man, if the ref hadn't done that, we would have won game. But because ref did do that, we got screwed, and that stopped Brady's momentum, and that prevented that ball from doing the thing, and then there was no thing, and there we lost instead of won, and I'm really upset. So nobody likes that watching game. So imagine that same sensation in role-playing scenario, where suddenly a player goes, no, wait a minute, flag on the field, and that stops the momentum. That separates people from the reality, and that puts questions on the DM's legitimacy. And it is highly likely that the DM made a mistake. Oh, you're right. On page 34, it does say, I'm sorry, but it already happened, dude. So just accept that for that one situation, things did not go the way you planned. I can't rewrite time, but I will take it into account when we start the next section, that maybe you're not as damaged as you thought you were. Well, actually, my character died in that scenario, and if I was right, then I shouldn't have died. Well, it sucks that you're dead, but maybe you're not as dead as you thought you were dead. And plus, this is D&D. Nobody stays dead in D&D. Being dead in D&D is like a cold. You get better. Unless you want your character to be dead, you're not dead. You will find a way to bring your character back. Don't worry. If I made a mistake and killed your character off and you shouldn't be dead, I will fix that mistake within the first 5 minutes of the next scenario. All right? I'm sorry. Move on. That's the proper way. Now, I'm not going to say every DM does that, and I'm not going to say every DM offers you that level of communication. I know plenty of DMs who don't. I like to, especially if there's like a gap between the game, and double that, because now we have this thing that I'm talking to. You have this ability to communicate with DM on the Facebook, on the Reddit, on the Twitter, on the phone call, on the email, on the message, whatever. Bottom line. That's the bottom line, because the OG GM said so. Bottom line, my shoes untied. Bottom line, rule 0, I am correct. Whatever I say the physics of that fire is correct. Okay? You can question the physics of the fire at the end of the game during the question and answer session, because at least I give you that. I can't say every DM will, but at least I give you that gift to have a chance to question my authority at the beginning of every game and the end of every game, and also via this. But when that moment, don't disrupt the flow. Don't disrupt your DM. Don't throw up that X card. Don't throw the flag on the field. Nobody likes that. It's not personal. The DM, as far as I know, is not out to get you. That's just the way the DM interpreted the physics of that scene. And again, you don't really know what else was going on. Maybe the fire was psychic fire, and the rules that you think applied don't apply, right? So, yeah, I think that's what Rule 0 means. I could be wrong. You know, that's my interpretation of Rule 0. That's my interpretation of the DM is always correct. I'm not always right. I make mistakes all the time. I'm human, mostly. I misread things. People mishear things. I'm open to being told, hey, actually, during that encounter, that should not have happened that way. At which point I would go, oh, dude, you're right. I totally, you know what? Okay, I'll make it up to you next game. That seems the simplest way to cause the least amount of fiction. But yeah, just assume that the DM knows what they're doing. And while it might be upsetting that the encounter isn't going your way, trust the DM to get you where you need to be, dude. Trust your story. Trust that your fellow players, trust the table, trust the dice, trust the physics of the game, that you're going to end up in some shape or form where it is your character is trying to get. And if you don't like it, you always have the ability to talk to the DM afterwards or before. But please, not during. Right? This is the same as the X card argument. If you're truly upset, just walk away. Say, I gotta go to the bathroom, and walk away, and then talk to me later. I don't like being disrupted. I don't like disrupting people's games. I don't think anybody likes the play on the field being disrupted by the ref's call, especially if it means it cost you the game. So, yeah, just respect the DM. Respect the flow, respect the physics, respect the fact that in Dungeons and Dragons, any of these games, things don't always work the way you think they should work because there's millions of possibilities. Anyways, that's all I got to say on this silly topic. I'll talk to you later.